Welcome back to Papo Fluent podcast, guys. One more episode, one more conversation in English. And I told you every week I would drop a new conversation. And today I have a very special guest with me, guys. I'm connecting all the way to Wisconsin. I hope I
Yes.
pronounced this right.
Yeah, perfect.
And I'll be talking to Natalie. How are you, my friend?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm really well. How about you? How are you
I'm
today?
I'm doing great, and I really hope I pronounced that Wisconsin right because I gotta be honest with you. I lived in the U.S., but I had a hard time pronouncing some of the states, and this is a
Yes.
difficult one. I
Oh,
find it
yeah.
this one.
I think most people that are outside of Wisconsin, they don't really know how to pronounce it. Some
Okay.
people say Wisconsin, Wisconsin, Wisconsin is perfect. Yes.
All right. Good, good, good. All right. So I always get it started like I really love, and my audience, they love to get to know more about our guests here. So please introduce yourself. So, can you tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, what do you do, and why you're here? So, what's the story?
Sure, absolutely. Okay, how do I start? Well, my name is Nathalie, but I go by Natalie. Most people know me as Teacher Nathaly.
Good.
I'm originally from Recife, Brazil, Pernambuco.
Nice.
Yeah, that's where I lived most of my life. I did live in other states too. So sometimes when I talk to people, they say, Your accent is funny. I can't really tell what part of Brazil you're from,
Okay. And where
but
did you live in Brazil?
um, so Recife, and oh yeah, sure, Brasilia and Rio de Janeiro as well.
Wow, good.
Yeah, so yeah, military kids. So my dad was in the military, so he was transferred a few times to
Okay.
different states, and yeah, so that's where I'm from. And I currently live in Wisconsin. I've been living here for 5 years now,
Wow.
and yeah, I'm here because of my husband. He's
Okay.
not from Wisconsin though; he's from Texas. But it's a long
Okay.
story. We ended up here in Wisconsin,
All
and we
right.
love the area. We love where we live. I'm an English teacher. I've been teaching English for 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Great.
guess people know my age by now. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
uh,
right?
yeah, I started pretty young actually, but it's a funny story. We can talk about that later too.
Good.
Yeah, so I'm an English teacher, but I started teaching online in 2018. That's when I
Okay.
started to get more involved with the online world. And then I
Mm-hmm.
created my Instagram account
Yeah.
in 2019.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I started teaching online. And then after my son was born in 2022, I kind of got tired of teaching online
Yeah.
and started working part time at a college here in my area. It's a technical
Nice.
college. So right now I'm an adjunct instructor. And yeah, we just finished our summer semester. So
Good.
that was exciting. Yeah, I love teaching English. I love learning languages. I love talking to other people. I talk a lot.
Good.
So hopefully
We like
you are
that. We love that. We are here
okay.
to listen to stories and everything. We love it.
Awesome. Good to know
Good.
that 'cause I
Good.
love talking.
Great.
Um, yeah, what else? Yeah, so I'm a mom to a 2-year-old and another
Okay.
one on the way.
Here we go. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. I'm due in October, another boy.
Okay. Another
So,
boy.
yep.
Two boys.
Two
And
boys.
the little
Uh-oh.
one is his name is Ben, right?
Yes, yes.
Because I've
Uh-huh.
been watching some stories and I know he participates sometimes, right?
Yes, yes.
And you already
Yeah.
have a name for the second one?
We do, but I think I want to keep it a secret.
Okay, yeah, keep
Don't
it,
want to
keep it.
spoil.
It's all good.
I don't
Yeah,
want to
no
spoil
spoilers.
it.
Good,
Yes,
good, good.
yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Good.
Yeah,
That's great.
I think that's it about me.
Great.
Yeah.
That was an amazing introduction. Of course, we're going to learn more about your story, but before we dive into it, I usually play a game with my guests. I don't know if
Ooh,
you're
a
a little bit
game.
familiar. Yeah, a game. So I will tell what the game is, and you're free. You can say, no, I don't want to play that game. Oh, you can also say, oh, I would love to play that game. So I
Well, I
call it,
like challenges.
okay. So let's see. I call it BS or success. So it works like
Oh.
this. I'm going to throw something to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to tell me if that's a BS or success. And you can
Okay.
explain why, okay? So feel free to
Mm-hmm.
elaborate. Would you like to play this game? Yes or no?
Sure. That sounds really familiar. I'm pretty sure I've seen that on your Instagram.
Yeah, I've been posting some clips about it.
Yes.
Some controversial topics, right? I'm not gonna lie,
Ooh.
but I'm gonna start with a very easy one. Okay, this one is a piece of cake. A walk in the park. No controversial here. No controversial topic here. So, Natalie, fluency in 3 months. Is that a BS or success?
I was waiting for that one.
Right.
Well, do you want the short answer or the long answer? Or both?
I would I would be open for both. Go for the long one.
Sure. So, I mean, maybe I can start with the short one.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
All right.
You can't become fluent in 3 months.
All right,
Um,
kids.
so that's the short answer. The long
Okay.
answer. So I keep thinking about these people that claim that they became fluent in 3 months. Like I've
Yeah.
never met them personally,
No,
but if
never.
I do someday, I want to ask them, how many hours did you study? Did you eat at all? Did you work? Did
Did
you
you sleep?
sleep? Right?
Yeah. Most importantly, did you sleep?
I know, yeah. I think even if you dedicated yourself to learning languages, becoming fluent, so the key here, right? Fluent is
Yeah.
very different from being able to have some basic
Uh
conversations
huh.
and understand a few things. That's
Uh
different
huh.
from fluency.
Yeah.
It's not easy to define fluency,
Yeah.
but when we think of the word fluent, like you think of something that flows, right?
Yep.
And for you to have this confidence to speak fluently, the conversation flows. It doesn't mean perfect. It's not the same
Mm-hmm.
as perfection, right?
Mm-mm.
That's another
Mm-mm.
extreme too.
Yep.
But it means that you're able to communicate clearly. You can have a conversation with somebody, and even if you sometimes you forget a word or you make mistakes, you can still communicate.
Yeah.
This takes time and confidence. So 3 months? Really? I'm so sorry to disappoint you guys, but that's definitely not something that happens. It's it's
Okay.
it's not it's yeah, it's not true.
So it's a BS, in other words.
Yes,
All
yes.
right. Okay, good, good. All right, so next one. Listening to content in English, like this podcast, for example, right? Let's say people who likes to listen to this podcast and other contents in English, that can improve their English overall, like all the abilities. Is that a BS or success? What do you think?
Oh, so you're saying just listening, right?
Yeah, like exposing yourself to
Uh-huh.
English mainly through listening to content, especially
Hmm.
because listening you can do while you do some other things. You basically can multitask while you're
Yes.
listening. So, what do you think?
Hmm. Well, I think so if you listen to a lot of different podcasts, including this one, which it's one that I highly recommend to people,
Thank
you
you.
you definitely improve your listening skills. But that doesn't mean you totally improve your writing or your speaking. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it will support those skills. You will get a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of maybe you learn a new word. It
Mm-hmm.
might inspire you to write something, but it doesn't mean in my opinion, and I think this is what I see when I'm teaching as well. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't practice that skill, you don't get you don't get good at it. Like if you're learning how to swim, for example, and you're simply listening to a coach, somebody telling you what to do,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're gonna learn, but that doesn't mean you're gonna swim faster. That
Yeah,
doesn't even mean you'll be able to fully learn how to swim. So I
exactly.
think what we need to do is integrate those skills. So, like, you're listening to the podcast, and as you listen to it, write down your thoughts,
Good.
a new word that you learned, or something you didn't understand. maybe, I don't know if you have transcripts or subtitles.
I do, I
Uh,
do, yeah.
yeah. Oh, perfect. Even better. Listen to the podcast as you read a transcript and yeah, write down the new words. Try to
Good.
copy what we are saying,
Exactly.
shadowing, right? People like
Yeah.
techniques, right?
Uh-huh.
So yeah, try to imitate the guests, the host.
Good.
And then yeah, I think integrating these skills is really the best way for you to get better at everything or all four skills, not just
Very good.
listening. I
Okay.
think something else. Sorry, I told you I talk a lot.
Go for it. I love that.
I think sometimes we learn things in a very passive way. So it's kind of
Uh-huh.
like I'm just scrolling here. I'm on
Yeah.
Instagram and just scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning. Well, you might learn something, but it doesn't mean you're going to be good at it. You might
Mm-hmm.
forget if you don't review the content.
Yeah.
If you're just there scrolling down and okay, one more post, one more post, one more post, that doesn't mean you're going to be really good at speaking or writing or reading.
Good. That's great. Great answer. My next
Thanks.
one, if you're an English learner, translation is bad for you. Is that a BS or
Oh,
success?
I love that one. Thank you. That was a topic of my undergraduate thesis. What we call in
Okay.
Brazil, we call it TCC, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was what I talked about. It was all
Good.
about the use of L1, so your first language,
Uh-huh.
to help you learn English, learn a
Good.
language. And it's definitely a myth. It's not true. This idea that you cannot use your native language to learn. I mean, first of all, it's impossible. It's already here
Yeah,
in your brain. Even if you
exactly.
don't want to, you're going to think about it. You're going to make
Mm-hmm.
associations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this idea that people have that you have languages in different compartments. So, like, here is this box for English, this box
Mm-hmm.
for Portuguese, this box for Spanish, and so
Mm-hmm.
on. What studies have shown is that languages are integrated in the brain. And what happens is, no matter what, you're going to always think back to your native language, even if you don't want
Okay.
to. And even, I don't know if you've ever heard of Paul Nation. He's like a leading scholar in vocabulary teaching. Like he's the
No.
guy. He's like
Okay.
top dog.
All right, good.
He says that teachers should use if they know, of course, if they know their students' first language, they should
Okay.
use that in the classroom. Sometimes you waste time trying to explain a concept that would be
Oh,
so
yeah.
easy
Oh,
if you
yeah.
if you just know the word, right? Like you
Uh-huh.
know the word, and then but show a picture. But they're gonna think about it when they
Yeah,
see the
yeah, yeah,
picture.
yeah,
They're gonna
yeah.
think about it in their native
Yeah.
language anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's definitely a myth. I mean, there's so many reasons. I wrote it was like 100 pages. The thesis,
Nice.
yeah, it was
So a lot
so
of
long.
research.
Oh, so much. It's been a while now. I think it's been 7 years or
Okay.
6, 7. I don't. I suck at
Okay.
math. I
But
can't
it's
count.
still a topic that interested you and you like to
Oh
talk
yeah,
about.
absolutely. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So if anyone out there is afraid, oh, I'm thinking Portuguese. I'm
Oh my
thinking.
goodness.
First of all, this is what I tell my students. I like to use my son as an example. I think after
Uh-huh.
becoming a parent, a mom,
Yeah.
you
Yeah, yeah.
always look at your child and you're like thinking
Mm-hmm.
about different examples. And before he could even say a word, I could tell that he was thinking. He was,
Mm-hmm.
looking at me and looking at his toys, interacting, but he didn't speak yet. So does
Yeah.
that mean he couldn't think? You
Uh-huh.
know what I mean? When we say that we think, we don't just think in a language, there's more to it. There are
Oh yeah.
concepts, so many things. So, oh, I'm afraid of thinking in Portuguese.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid.
Don't
Don't
be
be
afraid,
afraid.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been here in Wisconsin for like 5 years, and I kid you not, every once in a while I have to, yeah, go back to Portuguese and be
Oh
like,
yeah.
okay, how do I say this? And it's totally normal. It's part of being bilingual, being
It
multilingual.
is. It is. Sometimes I feel so slow in the morning. Like I wake up, I talk to my wife, I talk
Totally,
to my kids, like all in
totally.
Portuguese, and then I go straight to work. And all those people start
Yes.
spitting English at me, and I was, man, come on, give me a break.
Yes,
Let me
yes.
start my engine first, you know?
Totally. Yes, totally. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for your honesty. I think a lot of people are not honest online. Like I've seen
yeah.
people say things like, "Oh, I never think in
Stop.
Portuguese
Yeah.
anymore." You
hmm
know?
Or like, if you want to be fluent, stop thinking in Portuguese or something like that.
Yes.
Come on, guys.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah. And then you're like, "Okay, so what do I do? What do I think about?" You know?
How do I do it? Because they
Yeah.
never tell you how to do it. They say like they tell you to stop, but they don't tell you how, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like just
Yeah.
stop.
And the ones who tell you what to do, they're not really telling you something that works, because I've tried it and it never worked. Like
Mm-mm.
I once saw a video, somebody was saying, if you want to think in English, think of pictures first. So don't think in your native language, think of a picture. But it's like, how do you think of a picture but you don't
Yeah,
you just forget the word in your native language? How does that work? I don't understand how that works, you know?
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
hard. Okay, my next question is like, because nowadays people are so, they want to learn fast. They don't want to waste their times. They want everything like for yesterday. Like, I need to become fluent in 3 months or things like that. And sometimes they want to study like crazy, like spend hours and I don't
Mhm.
know. But there are some strategies like, would you say like studying English consistently, just for a little bit, let's say 30 minutes or 20 minutes every day, but consistently, is that a key to success or is just a BS? It's not a good strategy. What would you say about this?
I like your questions. They make me think a lot. It depends. Well, I think 20 minutes a day is better than 2 hours one day, for sure.
Okay,
Because
good.
I think I love reading about the brain and how the brain works, and it is better for you, for your memory, if you keep seeing this information that you're learning over and over again. There's something
hmm
called spaced repetition. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Um,
Okay,
it's I'm not going to get into details, but basically it's
okay,
the idea that you keep going back to those things that you're studying, and it's
okay.
something incremental, little by
hmm
little. So 20
Okay,
minutes a day is much better than one day, 3 hours, 4
yeah.
hours. It's kind of like working out, if you work out, if you go
hmm
for a walk 20 minutes a day, it's better than you choose one day a month to just
Yeah,
cram it and, do everything. It is
yeah.
much better. But so it also depends on how you measure success. So
hmm
suppose you're studying for a proficiency test. For some
hmm
reason you need to take the TOEFL, the IELTS, I don't know,
Yeah.
FCE, whatever,
hmm
and you really need a good score. You're trying
Yeah.
to get accepted into I don't know, like a university, whatever. In that case, sometimes maybe 20 minutes is not enough for that. If
hmm
success means you want to improve your proficiency for the test.
hmm
But if your goal is to communicate well, to learn the language in a way that will make sense to you, 20 minutes a day is good.
hmm
If you can do more, why not, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it depends on the season. I mean, when my son was born, he had never slept.
Yeah.
People say sleep like a baby, newborns
Yeah.
sleep a lot.
Uh-huh. No.
My son never
No.
slept.
Yeah.
So
It's hard.
20 minutes a day was like, oh, 20 minutes. I can take a
That's
shower.
amazing.
It's amazing. So in that
Yeah.
life season, 20
Yeah.
minutes is great. It's still going to be good because I'm going to make progress. Over
Yeah.
time, these things add up. And then eventually, yeah, you see progress because you keep going slowly but
hmm
steady, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't just, okay, it's either I study 5 hours every Friday or no,
hmm
do it little by little. And then if
Yeah.
you can do more, do more. Yeah, try to increase that time. Yeah, it's for your good, right? So
Yeah. Great. I simply love your answers, Natalie.
Oh,
So
thank
good, so
you.
good.
I love
Yeah.
your questions. I mean, your questions are making my head spin in a good way.
Okay, good. All right, I got more. I got some more. Okay, so if you were an English learner, you can't learn English if you don't live in an English speaking country.
Wow.
Is that a BS or success?
Yes, for sure.
All right, and why?
I mean, is there something magic in the air? Like when you travel here to the United States, you pick it
I
up and
don't
you're
know.
like, "Oh, I'm fluent."
Nothing special in the air here in Canada. Nothing.
Well, my mother-in-law, she's been here for 30 years and
Mm-hmm.
she's not fluent in English.
Okay.
She lives in Texas. She doesn't need it. A lot of people speak Spanish where she lives.
Okay.
So, but she's here in the United States. So
Yeah.
basically, what I'm trying to say is there's nothing special about the place. You can't. I know so many people, including myself. I learned English in Brazil. When
Yeah.
I came to the United States, I was already a fluent speaker of English and I learned it in Brazil. There are so
Mhm.
many people who have learned English in Brazil and they do a great job. Yeah, like I think people like to they like to scare learners or they want
Yeah.
to get them to pay for an exchange program and you only
Mm-hmm.
learn if you come and you travel here. That's not true. Like I have a couple of students, they were here in Wisconsin and now they're in Florida. And I
Mm-hmm.
told them, you're going to Florida. Brazilians everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's good. I mean, yeah, you'll be able to talk in Portuguese, nice, but
Yeah.
you're not going to be um, very exposed to English,
Yeah.
And then I know a lot of people who live in Florida and they really don't know English because
Mm-hmm.
they don't need it. There's
Yeah.
a lot of
Exactly. Yeah.
Brazilians, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Hispanic people, a lot of Latinos that live
Yeah.
there. And yeah, so you don't need to travel to an English speaking country to be able to
Yeah.
become fluent. You can learn
Exactly.
English in Brazil, anywhere in the world. Yeah,
Anywhere. Yeah, I
yes.
agree. All right. Learning phrasal verbs will help
Oh,
you communicate better in English. Is that BS or success?
wow. It depends.
It
It
depends.
depends. Yes, it depends. So, phrasal verbs are tricky because the thing is, native speakers of English tend to use phrasal verbs a lot.
Yeah.
And second language learners, they do use them, but they tend to avoid or maybe use one word equivalents.
Yeah. I
Like,
usually do that. I usually go
yeah,
that route. Yeah.
exactly. So, in general, you can communicate you don't really need to know
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of phrasal verbs to be able to
Yeah.
understand and communicate in English in a more general way. I'm saying like English as a global language, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many speakers all over the world. I mean, most English speakers are not native speakers. So
Yeah.
sometimes phrasal verbs get in the way of
Mm-hmm.
communication because they're not very clear sometimes.
Yeah.
So if you're talking to somebody from, I don't know, Thailand, and you're using all these phrasal verbs that are not very simple or easy to understand,
Mm-hmm.
maybe this person won't understand you very well.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking to native speakers, or if you live in an English speaking country, I think you really need to learn them because they're so common.
Mm-hmm.
And at least the most common ones, it's impossible to learn all of
All of
them,
them. Yeah.
especially because native speakers make up, or, oh, here's a phrasal verb.
Yeah.
They create
They create.
phrasal verbs too as they
Yeah.
talk. Like
Yeah.
somebody told me, I was talking to a friend and she's like, I'm peopled out today. Like I'm so tired of
Peopled
people.
out.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like, people out? What in the
Yeah.
world? So I live here in Wisconsin. There are not a lot of Brazilians. I'm always
Uh-huh.
surrounded by Americans. I've had times when I had to stop and be like, what is the meaning of this phrasal verb?
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
in this context, I think you really need to learn them
Mm-hmm.
because this will give you the confidence you need to be able to
Yeah.
participate in these conversations. My
Mm-hmm.
husband is a native speaker of English, and sometimes we have this game because I love studying phrasal verbs. You
Mm-hmm.
probably noticed that I post a lot of stuff about
Yeah, and
phrasal verbs.
that's the reason why I asked this question.
Yeah, and sometimes I count how many phrasal verbs he says because there's so many. I'm like, can you just say like return or tolerate? Isn't that so much
Mm-hmm.
easier? And he's like,
Yeah.
no, these are like academic words.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the thing is, just one more thing. I'm sorry, I talk
No, go for
a
it. Don't need to apologize. I
lot.
love listening to everything you have to say. Go for it.
Oh, thank you. So, the thing is, English is a funny language. So English
Yeah.
has Germanic origins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was also heavily influenced by Latin, but the nature of the English language is Germanic. And
Mm-hmm.
phrasal verbs are very common in Germanic languages. Sometimes they call these languages, what is it, satellite based languages, which
Mm-hmm.
means the verb in itself is not enough. You need something else to
Okay.
indicate direction. So, for example, let me give you an example. In Portuguese, when I say entra, entrar,
Mm-hmm.
you're coming
Yeah.
inside, right?
Yeah.
But in English, you can't just say go, you have to say
Or
go
come.
in or come. You could say come, but then it's like
Where?
you need that extra
Mm-hmm.
information. We do have the verb to enter, but it's
Mm-hmm.
from a Latin based. So
Yeah.
English was heavily influenced by Latin, but we do. Oh yeah, like fall down. I've always thought that that was so redundant. Like fall down, of course something's gonna fall
Mm-hmm.
down. Don't you know
Mm-hmm.
gravity?
Yeah.
But then that's the idea. Something can fall down. Something can fall over.
Over. Yeah.
Something can fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, wait, but why? Like, why do you say, oh, this thing fell off?
Mm-hmm.
Just fall. It fell. That's it.
Yeah.
They understand you if you say that. But when you
Yeah.
say something fell off, you're giving more information.
Exactly.
In Portuguese, when we say, I have a friend, uma amiga, um amigo,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's a woman. Oh, it's a man. Amiga,
Mm-hmm.
amigo. In English, we don't have that, right? Friend. You don't
Yeah.
know. So phrasal verbs are kind of like that. They give the extra information, like this pen fell off. So I know it was right here on a surface and it
Mm-hmm.
fell off.
Yeah.
It fell down. So it's pretty similar, but the idea here is that the focus is on where it fell. It fell down like
Yeah.
this, downwards. Or something fell over. Maybe it fell over here, you see? Not necessarily down.
Yeah.
So so when you understand phrasal verbs, I think it helps you communicate with more confidence.
Mm-hmm.
um it doesn't mean because like I think for most of my life as a teacher, most
Yeah.
just thinking about when I started teaching up to maybe 2021, 2022, I've always been interested in phrasal verbs, but it wasn't something that I felt confident about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never felt really confident. And then I thought, I need to work on this. I
Mm-hmm.
want to
Yeah.
understand phrasal verbs because the answers that I was getting from people, no, just learn what they mean and you're good.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't
Yeah.
satisfied with that. I like
Mm-hmm.
challenges, I told you.
Yeah.
And so, to answer your question, I think phrasal verbs give you more confidence to speak, but in a global context,
Yeah.
English as an international language, you don't need to use a bunch of them because
Okay.
your focus is on clarity, on talking
Mm-hmm.
to people from different language backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
So, does that answer your
Oh yeah,
question?
yeah, for sure. And just a thought, I think because you mentioned like you were not so confident when dealing with phrasal verbs.
Mhm,
I'm in this place right now. I gotta be honest with you. Sometimes I don't feel confident using
right.
phrasal verbs. So
Mhm,
just a thought, Natalie, you should come up with a course like focused on phrasal verbs, I will be the first one to sign up to this course. So that's you should think about it. Just a thought. All right.
Hmm.
Next
Let me
question.
write it down here.
Yeah, do
You
it.
said,
Do
did you
it.
say you're gonna be my first client?
I will be
You
the
have to
first
sign.
one to sign up.
Can you sign here this
There's
contract?
no need. It's recorded. Everyone is it's a witness for that. Yeah.
I'd love to do that. I mean I love studying phrasal verbs because they challenge me, like I said. And I was at this place, like not feeling confident at all. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm feeling pretty confident. Doesn't mean I know everything. Never.
Mm-hmm.
That's never gonna happen. But
Yeah.
that makes me so happy. Really.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
Think
Thanks for
about it.
your honesty. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Think about it. All right, so two more questions, okay? So English learners must sound like natives.
Ah. Well,
BS or success?
definitely yes. I mean, what native speaker? Like who? From where?
Yeah.
From where? Right. Here's the thing. Maybe I'm gonna sound a little controversial. But so when I first started learning English, I wanted to sound like a native speaker. That was my
Okay.
goal. And by
Mm-hmm.
native speaker, I meant um, a North American speaker,
Mm-hmm.
like maybe even within North America, there are different accents, right? What Canadian, American,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of American English? But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, something more like people on the news, the way they talk. I wanted to sound like that.
Okay.
Um, I think, yeah, if you want to sound like that, great. Doesn't mean you will because that's. I mean, I've been here for 5 years, right? People know I'm from Brazil, or they know I'm not from here. They say, "Oh, you have your accent. I can tell you're not from here. I don't know where you're from, but I can tell." So
Mm-hmm.
this goal is not realistic. If you want to go for it, go for it. If you like challenges like me, go for it. But you don't need this because first of all, English is a global language, right?
Yeah.
So many people, I mean, there are more known native speakers that speak English than there are native speakers. So that is not a realistic goal. And if you're not learning, I mean, starting from maybe when you were a child, it's almost
Yeah.
impossible to sound exactly like a native speaker in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of, oh, yeah, I can't hear a foreign accent.
Mm-hmm.
um, so, yeah, you don't need to sound like a native speaker. And if somebody tells you, speak like a native, what native? Who? Like somebody from the US, Canada, South Africa, right?
Yeah.
But I also tell people, well, if you have a specific native speaker in mind,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you live in the US and you want to sound more American,
Mm-hmm.
well, if you want to, that's okay. But doesn't mean everyone has to do the same thing. Like
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
think I'm honest with my students. I tell them, yeah, you want to sound a certain way because you think you like the way this person sounds. Good for you. But
Mm-hmm.
just remember, it's not realistic. But you can try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you like challenges, go for it. But yeah, don't
Great.
worry about it.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Following Nathaly's classroom on Instagram, is that BS or success? No, come on.
I'm kidding. Success.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
huge success, guys. Go
Well,
go check it out.
I'm kind of mad at Instagram. The algorithm has changed a lot.
I know. I know.
I think I didn't want to go on this rant, but
Yeah.
but I'm really mad, because what happens is sometimes you spend so much time creating
Yes.
something meaningful and
Mm-hmm.
really yeah, really good for your students.
Yeah.
And the algorithm doesn't really deliver it. It's
Yeah.
not even about likes or comments. Like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
worried about likes, but it's like people don't even see your
Yeah.
content.
Mm-hmm.
whatever elicits a more like maybe like a stronger reaction from people,
Mm-hmm.
that's what the
Yeah.
algorithm likes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you have to be crazy. You have to be I don't know. Yeah, crazy. You have to do something crazy, and then all
Mm-hmm.
these people will start following you, and you grow, and then it's so crazy. I miss the time when Instagram was more like a community, like
I
teachers
remember that.
interact. You remember that? Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
miss that
Yeah. Yeah.
time.
Good times. Good times.
Those were good times. Yeah, I miss that so much. People had live streams with each other, like they interacted a lot, and now it's like a competition almost.
I know. I know.
I have a love hate, more like hate relationship with Instagram, but yeah, definitely follow me there.
Yeah. It's a success, guys. Go check it out. She's been posting so many great things, phrasal verbs, like tips, and like I love the one you posted about the ad that you promoted, and then
Yes,
you
yes,
gave your thoughts and explanations about
yes,
that. That
yeah.
was like really great,
Oh,
like, and
thank
it's
you.
just like we need more people like you, like just being honest and transparent to
Oh,
like the audience. So that's what we need. So that's why I tell you, don't worry too much about the algorithm and all that like stuff, because I feel like this. The way you described, I feel like this sometimes. But I
yes.
think we gotta be persistent. We gotta be like we know what we are doing. We know
Hmm.
our intentions, and
Yes,
people need like this kind of content too, right? Of course,
yes,
people are going crazy. People are doing like fancy things. I don't know how to dance. I'm not like, you know,
yes.
I don't know how to do those entertaining things, but I'm there, like, so let's keep doing. Let's, like,
Yes.
all
Yeah,
right,
yeah. Thank you. I think I needed that encouragement today because I
let's
think
go.
the last video I posted is it, yeah, some video that I thought was gonna be like a hit, like oh people are gonna love this, and then
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like oh yeah 200 views. Okay, all right, sure,
I know
sure.
exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. Sometimes I tell my wife, oh, I have this idea and I'm pretty sure this is gonna be great. So I'm gonna put this together here. I'm gonna write a little script and like plan things out, and then I'm
Mhm.
gonna record, and then I'm gonna edit, and then I'm gonna post, and then it's gonna, what? Come on, really?
Yes, yes.
But
It's frustrating, but like you said, we know what we're doing. We have a
yeah,
why, right? So
yeah,
let's keep persistent. And I mean, even if one person, like if our content reaches this one person and it helps them
hmm,
succeed in life,
yeah,
I'm happy. I'm very happy.
yeah,
Like I want to help people yeah, learn English and know that they can do it. And I'm sure these conversations that you have, I don't know if you
hmm,
have them weekly or how it happens, but I know that even if you may not see a comment or something like that, I'm sure people listen. I mean,
yeah,
whenever you post them on Instagram, it makes me think, I'm like, oh, I
hmm.
never thought about this before. And just seeing so many Brazilians speaking
Oh, yeah,
English,
yeah,
um, it's so exciting because I think
yeah,
people like to look down on us like,
hmm,
oh, Brazilians speaking
yeah,
English, like
yeah.
only
Uh-huh.
5% of the
Oh
population's
my goodness, I
fluent.
hate this.
I know, yeah. So, and then so you've created this space where
Yeah.
Brazilians can feel safe and they can come here and
Hmm.
talk to each other and yeah, build this community and encourage one another and be like, hey, we can speak English.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we wanna be part of the global community, right? So
Yes,
we
yes.
go- we want to join the conversation.
Yeah, no matter what Instagram says, like, oh, you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good. All right. So that was the game. BS or success. Did you like it?
Yeah, yeah, so
Good.
thought provoking.
All
It
right.
made me
Good.
think. It made me think a lot. I like your questions because yeah, they're hard.
But you did great. I loved your
Oh,
answers.
thank you.
Like, awesome. All right. So
Thanks.
let's get to know a little bit more about your journey. Okay. So when did you start? Because you said even before you moved to the US, you were fluent. So
Yes.
when did you start learning English and why? So what was the story there?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So, there was a moment that I started learning English, but not really. I wasn't really dedicated to learning English. So back
Hmm.
in school, like something like fifth grade, maybe that's what's equivalent, yeah, here in the US, fifth grade.
Yeah,
That's when,
11 years old, something around
yeah,
that.
something
Hmm.
like that. Yeah, that's when I started learning English in school. And, verb to be,
Yeah.
colors, that really basic vocabulary.
Hmm.
I was really excited though. I could tell my teacher didn't know English very well at the time, even though
Hmm.
I didn't really speak English. I could
Hmm.
tell she didn't know much either, but yeah, I learned a few things. And then we moved to Rio de Janeiro, and I started attending a school where the English classes, they were divided by levels. So the people that were on your other classes, like they weren't the same people in your English classes. It was kind of like an English institute or English course that
Hmm.
people have, like beginner,
Yeah.
intermediate, advanced. And
Hmm.
I started in the like very first level, like I
Okay.
really didn't know much. And yeah, that was pretty good because that helped me learn a lot. Of course, by the time I graduated from high school, I wasn't fluent. I couldn't really understand if people spoke English fast, um, like a more natural pace. I could understand textbook English pretty well.
Hmm.
But if I watched an interview online, like I'd be like, what? I don't understand this. So I wasn't really fluent, and I couldn't talk. Like I would always get stuck, and
Hmm.
I could say basic things like, my name is Natalie. I'm from Brazil. I like this. And I could talk a little bit about the past, but I didn't know much. But that was a time. So senior year of high school, I had this epiphany. I just thought I could be an English teacher because
Wow.
people here in Brazil, they don't have a very good e- language education, because my school compared to other places, it had a pretty good um, English department. Like the teachers were pretty good compared to the average schools. And I thought, I want this for other people. I want to be an English teacher. I want to help people learn because I
Hmm.
thought I knew a lot. I
Yeah.
didn't know that much. So I I guess I should say I started dedicating myself to learning, like really dedicating myself, studying every day. That was in 20 2011,
Okay.
2012. And then I started teaching in 2013. And when I
Wow.
started teaching, my English wasn't great at all. I don't know how they hired me. I'm not
Hmm.
sure. But I learned a lot by teaching. I
Oh
like to
yeah.
tell people that I learned English by teaching. Even before I started teaching officially, I would like talk to some friends. Hey, I can teach you for free. Do you want
Yeah.
classes? Oh, you speak English fluently? I'd be like, yeah, sure, why not? I just wanted to help people. I just had this desire, and I had time. I didn't have kids, right? I wasn't married.
Hmm.
I had
Yeah.
free time.
Uh-huh.
And I've always loved teaching people. I just didn't know yet I was going to be a teacher someday. I don't know. But yeah, so back in high school, senior year of high school, I thought, yeah, I want to be an English teacher. And I started really studying hard and dedicating myself to learning English. And yeah, that was the beginning of my journey. And I'm still there, still learning every day, every single day.
Yeah, it's like it's so funny. Like when I have these conversations, I can find some similarities to my story because you said, "Oh, I don't know how they even hired me," and I felt the same. Like I wasn't fluent at all. Like when I
Mhm.
started teaching, but I learned so much by teaching, like doing
Yes.
the research and preparing
Yes.
classes. Because this is the thing. Like when you like when you have a class, right? So let's say I remember one day I had to talk about the present perfect, and I had no idea how
Oh,
to explain that. And I went
yes.
to my coordinator and I asked him, man, I need help. Please help me. I have no idea how I'm going to teach that. And I spent like 30 minutes with him. And then I went home and I studied for like 2 hours. And then I had this class, like a 50 minutes class. So you spend more
Wow.
time preparing
Yes.
than
Yes.
teaching, right?
Exactly.
So yeah. So
Exactly.
it's so funny.
Yeah. Oh, you brought back so many good memories now. I remember those days. Yeah. There was a time, so I think I would consider myself fluent at that was back in 2016, but I
Hmm.
still I didn't know much about these more advanced grammar
Yeah.
terms. I think it was something about like the third conditional or
Yeah.
something like that. I'm trying to remember now what it was, and I remember spending 2 to 3 hours preparing a 1 hour class
Yeah.
because I was going to teach that grammar topic that was really
Hmm.
challenging for me,
Yeah.
and that helped me so much, like
And you
so
gotta be
much.
you gotta make it simple for students, right? So that's
Yes.
the challenge as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think that's the best way to learn is to teach it. I mean, you learn it's like you're learning something twice because
Hmm.
you're learning to understand it, and then you're trying to learn how to communicate that message in a
Yeah.
clear way,
Hmm.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned you've been teaching in the US, right? So how's the
Yeah.
experience? Like how has this experience been to you? Like teaching
Yeah. Oh,
abroad? Is it
it's
different
been
than teaching in
amazing.
Brazil?
Yeah, it's pretty different because my students speak different languages. I have students from Laos, Ukraine,
Wow.
what else? Egypt, Russia, all over the world. So we don't really have that one language, in the
Hmm.
classroom. A lot of people from Mexico and Nicaragua as well. And it's very challenging because so I know some Spanish. My husband, his family is from Mexico, and my dad
Hmm.
is a Spanish teacher. So I grew up
Okay.
listening to a lot of Spanish. So I can kind of like, yeah, I can use my Spanish knowledge to help the Spanish speaking students, but I don't speak. So my students from Laos, they speak Hmong. I don't speak Hmong. I don't know anything. So it's really challenging. Sometimes I have to draw and show pictures because I don't
Hmm.
know their language. You see,
Yeah.
it's not because
Exactly.
I don't allow them to use their native language.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's nice because in one of the classes, I had a really like a huge group of Hmong students, and they allowed me to have an assistant that spoke Hmong, and
Nice.
he was in the class to help them. So I think they were pretty open minded. I mean, just the fact that they hired a non native speaker as well,
That's great.
I think that's really, yeah, it really shows you that they're really open minded and know that nationality is not what defines how good of a teacher you are. So
Hmm.
it's also different because in Brazil, I think. So you're in this classroom, right? Everybody's trying to speak English, and then you go outside, Portuguese. But
Hmm.
here, my students have this immersion, I mean, outside the classroom too. So it's much easier to assign homework or to make them be exposed to the language. Like,
Hmm.
okay, just go outside, go to the grocery store, ask a question to the cashier. That's your
Yeah.
homework. Talk to the
Hmm.
cashier. Order food at McDonald's. That's your homework today.
Hmm.
You can be very creative. That's an advantage, I'd say, of being here. Not that you have to be here, right? But
Hmm.
yeah, that's another thing that's pretty different from when I was teaching in Brazil. Like when I was teaching in Brazil, I had to tell my students, don't forget to go to YouTube and watch this video.
Hmm.
Or I try to encourage them to talk to somebody on Skype, or at the time, I don't think we had Zoom yet, or I didn't know about Zoom. I'd
Hmm.
be like, yeah, talk to this person in New York on Skype, whatever. It was much harder to help students have this immersion experience. Um,
Hmm.
but I mean, doesn't mean it's impossible. You can do it. It's just not like you open the door and your neighbor is talking to you in English. That's
Yeah.
yeah. It's pretty good to just have this like the language so available anywhere. I think it
Hmm.
makes it easier for me.
Yeah,
My job a little easier.
more opportunities to practice and
Yes,
expose
absolutely.
themselves to the language, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
A more personal question now. So you said you've been living in the US for quite some time. So what do you
Yes.
miss the most about Brazil?
Oh, the food? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, same
uh,
here.
yeah, coconut water too. I'm from Recife, so the
Yeah.
beach.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely miss my family a lot too.
Yeah.
Um, Couscous.
Can
Yeah,
you find it
nordestina.
there or
No, not here in
no?
Wisconsin.
Mm.
Amazon, it's pretty expensive, but
Hmm.
sometimes if I'm craving it, now I
Okay.
have an excuse. I'm pregnant, right? So
Oh yeah.
I can crave things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I
Good.
think I miss maybe I miss what is it? I think at least where so in Recife I think people are very hospitable, like they always want to be around you and like
Yeah.
hug you, you know. And
Hmm.
here people are nice. I love the people here, but people are more reserved here. So sometimes
Hmm.
for me as someone who loves to talk, I have a hard time. Like I'm always thinking that I'm invading their privacy. People really
Okay.
have this notion of personal space. I think for introverts that's great. I'm
Hmm.
kind of a I mean, I love talking to people. I love interacting with others. So sometimes I sound too crazy. I think I scare people because they're like, "Oh,
Hmm.
that's too much energy. That's too much right there." But yeah, I think
Good.
the food, the people, yeah.
Nice. And how's the experience of raising bilingual kids, right? So you have Ben, you have another
Yes.
boy coming.
Hmm.
So how's the experience of raising bilingual kids
It's
been
been
to you?
pretty fun, actually. Very fun. Maybe because he's still little. I've heard it's
Yeah.
much harder when they're teenagers.
Hmm.
But I always talk to Ben in Portuguese all the time.
Okay.
So he's doing really well. He talks to me in Portuguese. He talks to dad in mostly in English, sometimes in Spanish. So my husband, Spanish was his first language, but
Okay.
his strongest language now is English because he grew up
Hmm.
here. He was born here. He grew up here. His mom
Okay.
speaks Spanish to him. So for my husband, he speaks Spanish to Ben, but sometimes he forgets, and I don't want to be like, you must speak Spanish to your son.
Okay.
I want
Okay.
them to have a natural relationship,
Yeah, yeah.
and he can learn Spanish with his grandma, with other friends. So I'm not my son is not my project, right? I don't want to be
Hmm.
like, oh, you got to speak all these three languages. I know eventually, well, if we keep living here, English is going to be his strongest language. But I'm going to try
Hmm.
my best for him to be bilingual. So it's been pretty fun seeing him speak Portuguese to me and my family. Whenever I talk to my mom on WhatsApp, he talks to her in
Hmm.
Spanish, and my dad and my siblings. He knows a lot of Portuguese. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I hope to continue just helping him learn more and more, and hopefully when he's a teenager he'll be in love with Portuguese and I don't have to worry
Yeah.
about it.
What about music? Does he listen to Brazilian music? Does he like
um
it?
he likes do you know Palavra Cantada?
Oh, I know, I know, I know.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
loves that. Yeah, he loves the
Great.
que tem na sopa do neném,
Oh my
something like that.
goodness.
He loves
Yeah, I
that song
remember
so
those
much.
songs. Yes.
Yeah, he
Good.
loves that. Yeah, he
Nice.
loves music in general. We go to church every Sunday, and he learns everything they play there. So he's always
Nice.
singing. Well, they sing in English, but
Hmm.
yeah. And then I try to find some Portuguese songs from my childhood too, and yeah, we sing along and have a lot of fun.
Okay, good. All right, Natalie. So I think that was a great conversation. I feel like I took so much of your time already, and I'm very grateful for that. But before we finish, do you have any final message to the people listening to the podcast? So feel free, open your heart, go for it. It's your time.
Oh, do I have to finish with something deep? I'm kidding. I don't have anything deep to say. I just want to, well, thank you for the opportunity to, yeah, come on here and talk to you. I just love collaborating with other learners. I mean,
Mhm.
I think in this world, things are so crazy, right? There's so
Yeah.
much bad stuff happening. So the more you can come together and encourage one another, the better.
Mhm.
And I think I should end just encouraging people to keep on trying, keep on learning. Don't give up. Learning English is not easy.
Mhm.
I've heard, I can't remember who said that, but I've heard someone say once that learning a language is not easy. It can be simple, but it's not easy.
Mhm.
So just remember that. Um, and each person is different, comparison is something that could be good for you sometimes because you're like trying to be better, but for the most part, it's really bad.
Mhm.
So stop comparing your English to somebody else's English because what you see on Instagram, it's their best performance. It's not real life. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure if you watch my video, like somebody watches my videos, wow, her English is so good. And then if you hear myself talking to my husband and I'm like, oh, how do you say this thing again? Um, that thing, oh, I'm gonna speak Portuguese. I'm tired. You don't see
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah.
stop comparing yourself. Yeah, just remember, you yeah, you can do it. If I could do it, if Alan,
Alan, Alan.
Alan,
Yeah.
if he could do it, if I could do it, you can do it too.
Yeah.
Okay? I think that's
Good.
it.
That was a great and powerful message. Thanks for sharing that. Good. All right.
Thank you.
You listening to this podcast now, do yourself a favor. Go on Instagram and check Natalie's classroom profile. She's great. You're gonna love it. I promise. Any
Thank
other
you.
social medias, Natalie, you want to share with the audience?
I have a YouTube channel. I honestly don't remember what it's called. I think it's Natalie's
Okay.
Classroom too.
Okay.
I
Go
have
check
to
it out on
yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah, I have some videos there. Yeah, I'm working on updating my YouTube. I
Nice.
tried TikTok and it's not for me. I just deleted
Okay.
it. It's not for me. I don't know anything about Twitter or X. Yeah, so
Okay.
Instagram and YouTube. Just type Teacher
Instagram.
Nathaly, Teacher
Yeah.
Nathaly's, yeah, something like that. Natalie's Classroom.
Okay. Go check it out, guys. All right. So that was our conversation with Natalie. Thanks again, Natalie, for being here. And
Thank
thank
you.
you for tuning in. And I talk to you on the next episode. Bye.
Thank you.